Nels Cox works as a snowplow driver. After working all day, he goes back to his house, where he lives peacefully with his wife, Grace. Along with him is Kyle, their son. Kyle greets his mother and asks if he can take her car. She allows it, and he takes the key.
I have to go.
Dad, thank you.
Have a good one.
After Kyle leaves, Nels and Grace sit for dinner. Grace reminds him he would have to say a few words that night. Nels doesn't want to, and Grace encourages him, saying the people are just trying to thank him.
That'll be over quick, though.
After getting ready, Nels and Grace go to an award program. Nels is receiving an award for doing good for the community. After receiving it, Nels stands before the crowd to make a speech.
I'm just a guy who keeps a strip of civilization.
Meanwhile, Kyle is at work in the airport with his friend Dante. Suddenly, they are ambushed by members of a criminal group. The men seize them, beating them brutally. Kyle is then injected with a drug. Dante, terrified by what he sees, fights to break free from his restraints and manages to escape into the night. Elsewhere, a young boy is refusing to go to school. Then his father, Viking, the head of a criminal group, comes. He asks him why he doesn't want to go and asks if it was because of Tim, his bully. He then lectures Ryan on standing up for himself. Viking demands that the boy fight back. Ryan hesitates, showing no interest in violence, but his father is not having it.
All the answers you'll ever need are in that book.
At the same time, the group that took Kyle takes him out and leaves him on a chair with glasses on. Kyle is unconscious. Shortly after, Nels receives devastating news. Kyle has died. At the morgue, a detective explains that the cause was a drug overdose, pointing out traces of opium in Kyle's blood. Nels is stunned, refusing to believe it. He knows his son and insists that Kyle never used drugs. The detective, however, dismisses his protests, saying the evidence is clear.
But he wasn't a druggie.
Then a funeral is held for Kyle. Nels turns to alcohol, unable to handle the pain. He then takes his hunting rifle and contemplates ending his own life, believing there is nothing left worth living for. Unbeknownst to him, Dante is in the garage, looking at him. Just as Nels is about to pull the trigger, he hears movement. Dante appears, weak and terrified, his clothes torn and face pale. He has been hiding since the night of the attack. Struggling to speak, Dante reveals that Kyle didn't know anything about that, but he knew when the cocaine arrived. He starts to talk about people, confusing Nels even more.
What people do you mean?
Dante asks for cash because if they find him, it is not going to end well. Nels grabs Dante by the collar and slams him to the wall, demanding to know who was responsible. Dante swears he doesn't know everyone involved, but mentions one name, Speedo. Nels asks where he can find him.
Tell me where I can find this guy, and then you get the hell out of here.
Determined, Nels heads to a bar, quietly observing until he spots Speedo. He follows him to the elevator and asks if he is Speedo to confirm. When Speedo realizes he's being followed, he threatens Nels, warning that he'll regret getting involved. Nels, unmoved, presses him for answers about his son. Speedo denies everything, but Nels loses control and beats him. He then takes him to his car and keeps questioning him. Gasping for breath, Speedo mutters another name, Limbo, saying that he was the one giving out the orders. After extracting what he needs, Nels kills him to keep him from warning the others. He then takes him away and disposes of his body in a nearby river. When Nels goes back home, he finds Grace sitting quietly. He asks if she is not going to ask where he has been, and Grace stays silent. Meanwhile, Viking is told Speedo has vanished without a trace. Viking gets angry because Ryan overhears this. Inside the car, Ryan asks who Speedo is. Viking brushes it off, saying he is one of his employees. He then sees a cookie along with Ryan's lunch and asks who packed it.
High fructose corn syrup, lecithin.
Viking throws the cookie out the window, saying the ingredients are not healthy. Then he turns to Ryan and tells him he doesn't have anything to do with Speedo's disappearance. Elsewhere, two officers are driving around. Then they see kids smoking weed. One of them, Thorpe, gets out of the car to confront them because it is illegal to smoke outside. But her partner tells her if she wants to survive and advance in Kehoe law enforcement, she needs to embrace and enforce the value of their community.
Folks come here to ski, have sex, and get high.
At night, Nels, unable to sleep, goes to his garage. The next day, he tracks down Limbo, the man Speedo mentioned. He goes to a retail store for wedding clothes, where Limbo is showing wedding dresses for women. Limbo asks what he wants, and Nels tells him he wants to buy a tux. Limbo asks where his bride is, and Nels hesitates before he answers. He then tells Limbo that he and his wife are going to renew their vows. Then Limbo asks to take his measurements, but instead, he picks up a gun and shoots. Nels acts quickly, dodges the bullet, and manages to disarm him. He confronts him and demands to know who killed Kyle, but Limbo refuses to speak. He beats him until he breaks, yet even then the man reveals little of value. He just tells him about someone who sneaks in cocaine through the airport where Kyle works. Enraged, Nels ends his life and throws the body in the same lake where he left Speedo. Back home, Grace tries to reconnect. She asks Nels simple questions about her son's interests and habits, hoping to remember him together, but Nels cannot find the words. His silence only deepens her frustration. At the same time, Viking is angry because he lost his gym bag. He then gives his ex-wife, Aya, a diet plan for Ryan. He wants Ryan to eat the same food for breakfast, lunch, and dinner.
And I'll help him do it.
You know what? You should be grateful.
Aya then tells him she wants a new arrangement. She wants Ryan to be with her for 10 days and 4 with him. But Viking retaliates, saying 14 days with him and none with her. When Mustang walks in, Aya leaves. Mustang tells Viking that Limbo has disappeared. Following this, Viking grows restless. Viking erupts in anger, shouting at his men to find whoever is behind these disappearances, as Ryan and Mustang look at him from the house.
Don't worry about it, he'll get over it.
Nels, undeterred, continues his quiet revenge. He intercepts another one of Viking's associates. Beating him, he forces out what little he knows and kills him. He then finds the cocaine that the man was transporting. He then takes the body and throws it in the same lake again. When Nels returns home, he finds an empty house. Grace has packed her things and gone, leaving a note behind. Nels sits on his bed, holding the note. Feeling broken and alone, Nels visits his brother Brock, a man who once lived deep in the criminal world. Nels tells Brock Kyle is dead and someone kills him. Brock lets him in. Brock's wife, thinking he is a criminal, acts rudely.
Better take your shoes off, she'll skin you alive.
After checking his contacts, Brock comes back to Nels with answers. He explains that Dante had stolen gold from Viking's operation, and when Viking discovered it, he sent his men after him. Kyle was simply caught in the wrong place at the wrong time, leading to his death. The explanation fills Nels with even greater rage. He wants to kill Viking.
What makes you think you can kill a man?
Nels tells Brock that he kills 3 of Viking's men and throws them in the lake. He then asks where he can find Viking, but Brock tells him he can't.
You have gone as far up the ladder as you're gonna go on this. We'll see.
Meanwhile, Viking loses control. 3 of his men have vanished, and he's convinced that his rival White Bull is behind it. Ignoring reason, he begins planning a counterattack. Both men once shared a fragile peace, an agreement to stay out of each other's business, but Viking's growing paranoia threatens to break that truce.
It's time we give it back to him.
Following Viking orders, his men strike at White Bull. They capture one of White Bull's men and subject him to brutal questioning.
You know, pain.
The captive says nothing. Enraged, Viking kills him. Then they display the body in public to send a message. White Bull sees this. Turns out the guy that Viking killed is his son. He was doing his first run. One of his men approaches and asks what they are going to do. White Bull simply nods his head and walks away. Detective Thorpe takes over the investigation. She sees the pattern and fears a full-scale gang war is about to erupt. She finds out more about the drug chain in Kehoe and about Viking. She also finds out the person that was killed and left outside is White Bull's son. Even though she shares her fear with her partner, he seems to be ignorant of that.
What bothers me is that Kurt's lying in bed tonight.
Meanwhile, Nels continues to look for a way to bring down Viking. Brock tells him that he cannot do it alone and reveals Viking's true name. His name is Trevor. Brock advises Nels to hire a professional hitman. He recommends a man called Eskimo and explains that Eskimo will do the job for a price.
You pick him up at the train station, you drive him to a motel.
Meanwhile, a funeral is held for White Bull's son. The next day, Nels arranges a meeting with Eskimo. Like Brock tells him, he picks him up from the train station and takes him to a motel. He gives Eskimo half of the fee up front. Eskimo grows suspicious and briefly threatens Nels, thinking he might be a police officer. Nels convinces him he is not, and Eskimo takes the money.
We're gonna get along just fine.
Instead of keeping the contract secret, Eskimo goes to Viking. He says a hit was ordered and offers to reveal the client's identity for an additional payment. Viking assumed it was White Bull first, but Eskimo tells him that he is not. Viking pays Eskimo and learns the name Coxman.
Guy's name is Coxman. Coxman.
When Viking hears the name Coxman, he reacts with surprise. He assumes Brock Coxman, not Nels, is the one behind the attacks. Years ago, Viking had worked with Brock, so he believes the man has turned against him. But before he leaves, Viking asks Eskimo where he learned his ethics from, because he made a deal with someone, and instead of honoring the deal, he makes another one with Viking.
Guess it's just every man for himself in there.
He tells him character matters here and walks out. Mustang approaches Eskimo and asks him to step off the rug. Then they kill him. To drive the body away, Mustang gets in a car with another guy. Mustang shares his plan for their vacation. The young guy in the car with him is his lover, and they have a secret relationship that no one knows about.
Mustang, if we get caught out.
Meanwhile, Nels continues searching for clues, unaware of what is happening. Viking's men trace the name to Brock's home. Viking goes to Brock's house and picks him up. Brock realizes the misunderstanding. Viking accuses him of killing his men and plotting against him. Knowing he has little time left due to cancer, Brock decides to protect his brother. He tells Viking that he acted out of revenge, claiming Viking's father once took his woman and that he's settling an old score.
It's called love, sweetheart. You should try it sometime.
Viking laughs at the story but shows no mercy. He kills Brock and orders his men to dispose of the body. A funeral is held for Brock. Elsewhere, White Bull mourns the loss of his son. During the funeral, he reminds his people of the old pact between him and Viking's father, an agreement to keep peace and never cross into each other's operations. With his son's death, that truce is broken, and White Bull vows to take revenge. White Bull's grief turns into fury. He vows that for his son's death, Viking's child will die in return. At the same time, Nels begins tracking Viking himself. Through careful observation, he spots Viking's young son, Ryan, and soon after, Viking as well. Meanwhile, Thorpe keeps investigating Viking. When she tells her partner that 3 of Viking's men have been murdered, he doesn't remember who Viking was either. Meanwhile, Viking asks his men how he should prevent the war with White Bull. Mustang's lover, Dexter, suggests that they apologize and make peace. Hearing this, Viking gets angry. He then shoots him in front of Mustang and orders his men to cut off his head and send it to White Bull, saying he's the culprit.
Back in effect and good to go.
White Bull's men keep an eye on Ryan. Soon they realize the schedule. Ryan spends 1 week with his mother and another with his father.
Can you imagine sharing your own son?
Thorpe keeps gathering information from her ex who works in Denver. Then she goes to see Nels and tells him she wants to talk to him about his son. She tells him she doesn't believe that his son is an addict and asks for information, but he refuses to tell her anything.
You can't help me. I got work to do.
Viking's messenger delivers the head and the story to White Bull, hoping it will end the conflict, but White Bull sees through the deception. Outraged, he kills the messenger on the spot, declaring that he will take a son for a son. He sends his men to find and kill Viking's child. Meanwhile, Nels reaches Ryan's school and approaches the boy calmly, pretending to be someone sent by his father. Ryan is suspicious at first, but Nels speaks gently, earning his trust.
Shit!
The boy gets into Nels' car, unaware of the danger surrounding him. As they leave, White Bull's gunmen see them. A chase follows, but Nels uses his knowledge of the roads and terrain to lose them, escaping with the boy before they can strike.
Where's the kid? He got away in a van.
In the car, Ryan realizes that Nels doesn't work for his father. He asks about the guys that follow them, but he tells him to forget about them. Ryan's mother arrives at Viking's home furious that he takes Ryan even though it was her turn this week. He tries to hit her, but she hits him first. Struggling through the pain, he tells her Ryan is not with him.
What?
White Bull's men continue their revenge. They track down another member of Viking's crew at a roadside motel and kill him, sending a clear message. Back in his house, Viking tells Aya he will bring Ryan home safely. She warns that if Ryan doesn't come back in 24 hours, she's going to the police.
I'll see you there.
White Bull himself travels to a resort often visited by Viking, planning to watch and strike when the time is right. Nels brings Ryan to his secluded home in the mountains. He treats the boy gently, offering food and assuring him that he's safe. When Ryan asks who else lives there, Nels quietly says, no one. Later, he prepares a simple lunch and gives Ryan Kyle's old bedroom. He tells him it once belonged to his son, who is no longer alive, and that he can stay there for the night. As they settle in, Ryan asks for a bedtime story. Nels agrees and tells him one.
Throwing distance of 100 feet.
Before the boy falls asleep, Nels promises to show him the snowplow in the morning. Ryan, getting the care that he doesn't get from his father, grew fond of Nels. At the resort, White Bull lingers in silence, thinking of his son and the revenge that now consumes him. White Bull, still mourning his son, gets frustrated that his men still didn't find Ryan. At the same time, Viking questions the school janitor and finally learns what happened to Ryan. The janitor nervously admits that a man named Coxman took the boy. The name makes everything clear to Viking. He has a relative. He realizes he killed the wrong people and that Nels is behind all the chaos. Furious, he prepares to hunt him down.
10 grand. 10 grand it is.
Nels, meanwhile, decides to confront Viking directly. He calls him and says he has Ryan. He warns Viking to come alone if he wants to see his son alive. Viking agrees, but secretly gathers his men and heads to Nels' home. They break in and search every corner, but Nels is nowhere to be found. While they search, Nels is far away, taking Ryan for a quiet ride through the snow-covered roads on his snowplow. The boy laughs and watches the machine work, unaware of the danger. Thorpe and her partner pull them over and ask about Ryan. Nels calmly says the boy is his nephew. The officer mentions seeing several cars heading towards Nels' property. Hearing this, Nels immediately realizes Viking didn't come alone. His house is already surrounded. Inside the house, Viking searches every room until he notices signs of the snowplow outside. Realizing Nels might be nearby, he heads out into the cold. Mustang, now secretly working with White Bull, uses the moment to call White Bull and report Viking's exact location. Out on the snowfield, Nels waits with his rifle, ready to end it. As Viking's car appears, Nels takes aim. Just before he fires, Ryan speaks up, distracting him. Nels lowers the gun, takes the boy back to the cabin, and locks him inside, telling him not to move until he returns. Then he steps back out into the snow. Nels hides under a car, but Viking's men ambush him, forcing him into their vehicle and bringing him before Viking. Viking punches Nels and demands to know where his son is. Nels tells him he doesn't deserve his son. Soon, White Bull's convoy arrives. Gunfire explodes from both sides, turning the quiet mountainside into chaos. The fight is brutal and fast. One by one, both gangs fall until only Viking and White Bull remain standing. Viking tries to escape in his car, but Nels uses a heavy log to stop him. As the car stops, White Bull takes the final shot. Viking collapses. Nels climbs into his truck and drives away. White Bull climbs into the truck with a gun. Police arrive at the crime scene, and Thorpe looks at the bodies in shock. Thorpe's partner finds Viking on the verge of death. He tells him to send a message to his wife, but before he could tell him the message, he dies. Nels drives the White Bull through the snow. White Bull, realizing Nels is not the enemy, puts his gun away. As they are driving, one of White Bull's men, who was in a parachute after skiing, gets in front of them and gets hit.